What up, my dudes? We got that Detroit track review, RFMX Simulator 2022. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, why the hell are you reviewing a track from like 2-3 weeks ago? Well, that's because RF postponed this round. They delayed this round. Paid series here, paid esports series here. I still don't understand it, but, I digress, okay? Quad fatty, dude. At least the track is better than some of the shit they were making earlier this year. That's all I got to say at this point. This track will certainly give you the feeling when you get on it like, this is where the real Supercross boys come out to play. You know what I'm saying? This is where you can really separate yourself. It's just unbelievable. There's 3 different sections on this track. When you hit them a particular way, one of them's right here. Being able to time this where you bounce over that dragon's back and then that triple right there. That's one of the separating rhythms. And then, let me see if I even hit this quad on this second lap. This is so tricky going triple in and then triple right here without over jumping this and then quadding this into this corner and then getting the turn into the corner to the berm. That's next level. Then you come around here and you get to these whoops, and these are this is definitely the most skill-gapped whoops they've had this entire year. As you can see, Spitzy Boy's trying to hold on to the bike. Oh, I love it, dude. I love it, dude. See, this is what real pro Supercross scaling and skill gap is in this game. This is the stuff I was trying to tell you boys earlier in the season, you got to have certain sections on the track that like an amateur just wouldn't be able to hit. And I feel like this track really does have like a good 3 different aspects to it, 3 different parts on it that really, it gets into that realm where you got to have like more than 2,000 hours into Supercross into this game before you can really hit stuff like that. I would certainly say this quad into this corner going up the inside, that's one of them right there, because it's so tricky to not over jump that triple in the middle of that rhythm. And these whoops right here, just in general, they're beefed up enough. You can get going super fast through them. It's not that bullshit, soft, sandy, loamy kind of traction that they had on a bunch of their tracks earlier this year. So you get more of that impact every time you hit one of those whoops. They're really big and beefy. You can get a lot of speed to them. And also, they have that real impact to them. And the whoops, the quad in that back section, and then that bouncing up over that dragon's back, hitting those particular obstacles like that, it really is one of those things that feels like those 2017 style RF tracks where, like I used to tell you guys, they would always have at least 2 different sections on the track that was skill gapped like that, like really hard to, would be really hard for an amateur to hit, and even this rhythm right here is not what I would call like super easy or anything. But yeah, it's just got that I don't know, whoever the hell's making these tracks now with RF, like that last one that they made, this one, whoever the hell's doing that now definitely has their head on straight. It feels more to me like an actual pro 450 racer in this game made this track. Whereas the Anaheim one and the Oakland and shit like that kind of felt more like a dude that either like an amateur, more of an amateur skill level dude made the scaling on those tracks, or some dude that just really wasn't to that kind of level on a 450 in this game, Whereas this track feels like a pro on a 450 came in here and tested out these different areas on the track and got it right to that point where it's tricky, but not just ridiculously hard to hit some of these bigger rhythms. It's like right there in that sweet spot, You got to do that, or it's like if you make something right past that sweet spot, then nobody's even going to go for it because it's just too hard to hit consistently, right? But this quad right here, perfect distance, perfect everything. That is a perfect quad right there. And the fact that they actually have somewhat of an inside like berm right here, it adds so much more character to this track. This really does make this track come together right here. This whole section right here, being able to quad into this and carry all that speed. And then there's a tricky spot right here where you try not to, if you go too far to the left, you'll actually hit almost like a kicker. You kind of get like a kicker vibe coming out of this. So if you stay a little more to the right, it'll keep you lower to the ground. You know, we're starting to get that character back to the tracks, even though there's not really a whole lot of pre-made per se. Just the way they're making some of the jumps where they don't all feel like cookie cutter homogenized, like the same shit on all of them. It kind of, some of them have more of a kicker vibe. Some of them are a little bit taller. Some of them, I don't know. It just gives that overall more character to the track when they're built like this. And just being able to time that out right there to bounce right over that. It doesn't seem like a super complicated thing to do, but I'm telling you, it takes some time to figure out how to even do that. Because if you don't jump into this little pocket right here to then be able to bounce triple over this dragon's back, it doesn't set you up properly to get you down into triple up over to this. And if you don't hit that, then you're going to have to smack like right here and double this. So have you noticed all of the bigger rhythms that I'm talking about here actually make you faster on the track? You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody came in here and tested it and it was like, oh shit, yeah. You know, these bigger lines are actually making you faster. They built them in a way to where they're worth hitting because it's going to cut off that many seconds off of your lap time, you know? Whereas a lot of tracks they were making earlier this year, even if you was to hit a random quad here and there, it's almost as if it wasn't even worth it. Like it was more worth it to just go triple and then go like, you know, triple single up the inside or something like that. There's even a quad you can hit, even if you just double through this rhythm. Boy, I was trying to figure out what the hell I was doing there. These are my first couple laps ever on this track. I was trying to learn these rhythms. That's cool though, dude. I like getting on a track that it takes me a minute to figure it out, you know? Takes me a minute to kind of figure out how hard I can stay on the gas through the whoops without totally blasting off to another dimension, you know, into the stands. It's these whoops definitely have that feeling to it where it's like, boy, I just don't know how fast I could go through these whoops, but holy shit, you can get going fast. But they're big enough to where it's scary when you start going that fast on them, you know? And even this whole rhythm right here, it's scary trying to hit that quad into this right here because if you come up short just a little bit, you're popping off. If you overjump, you're popping off. And the thing about it is, it's like you hit the triple in, but then you have to slow down quite a bit or you will just smack right into the face of this. It doesn't have as much of that feeling. That's what I had a big problem with a lot of their other tracks earlier this year. They had a lot more of a feeling of where the loamier, sandier, higher friction traction that they had to the tracks. It really gave it more of a feeling like it limited your power, it limited your acceleration, so then in a sense it limits your throttle control that is required to hit these certain rhythms, okay? And I think now that they've done some changes with that traction feeling, it's opening up that door again of actual throttle control on the rhythm section jumps, and you don't just feel like you're wide open through the entire rhythm section. You got to actually time it. You got to actually think about it or you'll overjump something or underjump something. I can't tell you how many tracks RF has made over the past 2 or 3 years where it was more like you were just wide open everywhere and you hit everything perfectly. There wasn't a whole lot of thinking involved, but they're starting to get that kind of feeling back to it. They're starting to get all this shit I was just so puzzled that they didn't have with a lot of their earlier tracks. But either way, dude, this whoop section right here literally turns me on, dude. Like, I'm not even playing around. This whoop section is badass, dude. Love it. Like, and to the naked eye, no pun intended, you might not even be able to really tell how much bigger or skill gap these whoops are than some of the other whoops this year, but I'm telling you, it's the traction and not as soft as a feeling, and how much speed you can get up to it, all that shit, boy, it makes those whoops, a little more tricky than I would say any other whoops they've had this year, in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Like, a beginner, even an amateur, is just straight up not going to be able to go this fast through these whoops consistently every lap. They're just not going to be able to do it. Period. And even like, it's kind of tricky to triple up into this and get right over that third jump because it's pretty tall, and then trying to lean yourself back down then to jump over this, and then to quad up over to here. Even this rhythm has some skill gap to it. I don't think it has quite as much as that other one does, but, and then you get right here and you got to think about hitting this without over jumping, or you're going to lose a shitload of time. It makes you think around the entire track. Even for all the fucking pro racing I've done in this game and the hours I've put into the game, even a skill level player of my level still has to think about what they're doing on a track like this, And that just wasn't so much of the case with a lot of the other tracks this year. So look at that berm, dude. They're finally getting them fucking berms back to normal. There for the longest time, the shits were just fucked. Like, I don't even know how to explain it any better than that, but they just weren't right. Like, do you know what I mean? They just weren't right. This is right here, This is getting more like it. This is like somebody didn't care about building it around a road. They didn't care so much about, like, let's try to make it 1-to-1 scaling. It's as if they kind of threw all that out the window and just built the track for the gameplay of the game. They made the track actually feel like a pro-level scaling track, and, rhythms and obstacles that make you have to think when you're hitting it. And this type of shit is so much more replayability to somebody at my level in this game. So much more replayability to a track like this than like the Anaheim one or the Oakland, for God's sakes. I never want to ride on those tracks ever again. I'm just keeping it real. But yeah, they are certainly getting their shit together. I just really hope they continue this. That's kind of my whole thing. Like, I really, really hope and pray to Pastrana that RF will continue this, and then your Anaheim one next year will just be at this level. Pro skill gap wise, and then they'll just continue it to all the other rounds next year. If they do that, then, that's when I'll start considering wanting to pro race again, and the whole 9 yards. If they really come out swinging next year and got their shit together, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, love to see it, happy to see it. I know I give RF a lot of shit, but it's because I want to see this. That's exactly why I give RF so much shit, because I want to see it brought back to the golden days, brought back to what made this shit so fun, and bigger whoops, bigger rhythms, bigger berms, fucking, all that shit, dog, all of it. Finally, they are getting that back here. So, yes, very happy to see this. This is one of, if not their best track. I know that one last week was pretty good. I remember telling you boys, they finally got it together on that one, but this one's pretty good right here too. And it has its own unique dirt color to it that they certainly didn't use this dirt color on the last like 3 or 4 rounds, but I don't think they really use this dirt color on any of the other rounds this year. So it really makes the Detroit aspect of it feel unique. You really got to have that difference of dirt color to make each one of these tracks feel unique enough. But yeah, this inside rut right here has got it fucking going on, dude. And I think the only reason they did that because that had to have been either on the track map, or that was like meant to be kind of a split lane or something. That's the only reason they have this, what looks like a giant inside berm. Otherwise, it would have just been really flat and smooth like every other corner. So every once in a while, the stars kind of align, and they have to almost put an inside rut berm because of whatever it looks like on the track map, like on a split lane. So that does kind of seem as if that was the case there. sort of just happened to luck out that way in a sense, you know. But these whoops will make you pucker up, dude. You really start getting on that gas through them. Yeah, dog. Yeah, dog. Love it, dog. Love it, dog. Yeah, dog. Hell yeah, dog.